Bengaluru, 25th July 2025, a new journey begins today. From chaos to clarity, from confusion to connection, Namma Yatri, India's boldest open mobility platform, now reimagines how Bengaluru moves with the launch of Namma Transit. More than a ride booking app, Namma Transit becomes your personal transit assistant, guiding you from your doorstep to your destination, metro station, gate number, train countdown, auto tracking. It's all in one place. Gracing the occasion was Shri Tejasvi Surya, Hon'ble Member of Parliament, Bengaluru South, who officially launched the Made for Bangalore, Namma Mobility Blueprint 2030, a bold vision that brings citizens, government, and market together. The blueprint dreams big: 70% share of public transport, 50% reduction in commute time, zero emissions, more cycling, more walking, real time tracking, open data, digital payments. This is Bengaluru's promise to itself. Ravishankar, managing director of Namma Metro, said it best: our duty is bigger than steel and track. It is to give Bengalurians back an hour of their life every day. Founders Magizhan and Shan believe mobility should feel like magic, not a daily grind. With Namma Transit, public transport isn't a compromise, it's an upgrade from door to destination. Namma Transit is how Bengaluru beats the traffic: faster, greener, smarter. The future of mobility is already here, and it fits in your pocket.
And, there are many societal problems that India goes through. One problem we should not have is the societal problem of mobility for people and going from point A to point B. So that actually led to the idea of Beacon Protocol. I don't know how many of you know that Beacon Protocol was originally thought of as a mobility protocol, only mobility protocol. Our foundation was called Open Shared Mobility Foundation. So for me to be standing here and talking about this multimodal mobility is actually making that vision in a little way come true today, and I'm more than honored and heartened to see how ONDC, Namma Yatri, all have brought this beautiful vision to life, especially Namma Yatri taking a fascinating step. It's such an inspiring story that all of you have built together, and I've been lucky to be part of this journey since 23, if I'm not wrong, when we had that first conversation in a restaurant back in Malleshwaram. But it's fascinating to see this progress. This is a important moment for us, and I think perhaps the only global model that I think we have of envisioning a unified mobility. Everybody calls it multimodal. I would prefer calling it unified mobility, because mobility is not about form of transport. Mobility is about people, putting people in the center, not a particular form of transport in the center. How do we make people go from point A to point B for whatever purposes they're going for jobs or for medical emergency or for access to education and school? Mobility plays such an important part. To be going from mode and form specific or form of transport specific conversation to a purpose centric, human centric, person centric mobility as a conversation, putting people at the center. I think that is the coming of the vision, the reality that we are seeing today, which is very, very important. It's amazing. I was just going through the new update in the app. I just did an update, and I was noticing that from here to get to my place, which I live pretty far off, somewhere near Pinia. Sometimes it is easier to reach Delhi than Pinia. For me, it's fascinating to see that I can get there in 45 minutes. Why? Because today we have solved one of the biggest information asymmetry problem. What we don't know is that it's easy to go to a green line and take a purple line and get to Pinia faster. There was a time, that is the problem we're trying to solve. If you have this information at your fingertips as an everyday commuter, it actually makes your life easier. You can reach farther places faster, even if the metro station appears far off. I tried this before. We were doing this experiments. From Pinia to Indiranagar, I could reach faster than people living in Indiranagar coming closer to that point in Indiranagar. I reached there in Mayapri was getting launched in Bangalore in August, September, right? It's been a very, very exciting journey. I think even for us at ONDC, Namma Yatri started and has been a very integral part of this journey. So, this is very exciting times to see how the entire story is coming together. I think as digital public infrastructure, our endeavor has been to make life easier for companies to build, right, and further the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister for digital India, right. So I think when we started off on mobility, of course, for the autos and taxis, Namma Yatri did one round of solve, and when we thought multimodal, intermodal, integrated journey in any of these terms, I think one of the big problem areas we recognized was access to inventory, right? Every company, if they had to go and integrate 16 metros and maybe around, about 150 bus companies, I said this is never starting, right? Our public procurement process and the challenges around that. And that's when we saw how the network approach would be fairly powerful in making this easier for companies. Like you just mentioned, we now got 7 metros, right? So if you join the ODC network as a consumer-facing app, you have access to 7 lines in single go. And it's not just 7 lines; it's about 80% of India's metro capacity, right? So any app, including international ones, some of them that do not operate in India that are looking to come to India, see this as a big opportunity. I think why today is also special is, we always knew that there are advantages around public transport. I don't think anybody's ever doubted it, right? But most people struggle with information asymmetry, right? And how do we kind of use it? I think today is the start of a very, very important movement on how all of this inventory can be consumed, integrated, and make it easier for citizens to sort of use it and make the cities easier to live and commute in. I think that's going to be a very, very important step. I had a similar experience as Sujit. I was looking at a friend who lives off Kennedy. I saw that if I took public transit and took the integrated ride, I was paying 30% of what I would pay, right, if I took even an auto, and I was traveling 30% faster. So 1 hour, 10 minutes to about 48 minutes, and about 600, 650 versus 250, 270, right? So I think it's going to be extremely powerful as it gets adopted, and we can't do more on cars. All of our cities need public transit, and purely on public transit, I think this is going to be an extremely pivotal moment from where hopefully cities will start to transform and this movement will pick speed. We hope more companies join in, more companies utilize the infrastructure and build on. Lastly, I want to wish Namayatri the very best again. I think what they're starting in Bangalore is extremely powerful. More cities should see this benefit, and more outcomes should lead to more use of public transit. With that, thank you very much. Good luck. Jai Hind.
It was funded by NOVA, right, the ministry. And so we built a data exchange for NOVA, which is being deployed across 52 cities. This is a part of the smart city program that was envisioned by the Honorable Prime Minister. So, but since then, we have actually expanded into many other areas. We built data exchanges for agriculture, for healthcare, various other things. And also, because we have this expanded scope, we are no longer called IODX, we are called Center of Data for Public Good. So we are part of the Indian Institute of Science, which is a private institution. I think you all probably know about this institution. So we are happy to be part of this journey where we are able to contribute in many different ways. One is that any data that is available related to transportation, transport in general, we are able to expose it to everyone who may want to build apps on top of it. So, for example, the Namma app that's been launched now, many such similar things could be built. And but to enable this, we have to add many other types of data and onboard all this data to this platform. So I'm happy to also say that we are working on something called the Bengaluru Transport Stack, which is funded by JICA at the moment, and our partners are BCG, Boston Consulting. So we will be opening up this platform very soon, hopefully in September. So when that happens, we are simultaneously working with BMTC, right? So to onboard their data. So you can imagine what that will do, because with 6,000 buses plus metro and so many other options, I think that can completely change the way mobility happens in the city. So we're really looking forward to making this contribution to this journey. And so I again once again congratulate all of you, and I think this is a very important first step. One additional thing I would like to add, because we are I mean, we are not just in transportation, but we are doing many other aspects. So what that means is that things like weather flooding, etc., also can be integrated into this. So, for example, if you're planning a trip, it also is important to know what the weather is going to be like, and if that's going to change your plans or change the mode of transport you will use or the duration of the trip, etc. So we have models at IISc, Indian Institute of Science, which could get integrated into this, and it will also tell you which part of the city could be flooded in the next couple of hours or something like this. So we are hoping that we will get some help from the government, and if you can help us, these models are ready and tested, and we just need some help, some push to integrate all this in one place so people can use all this information and build very useful apps on top of that. So that would be my request. So thank you again for inviting me here.
Customers build products. So in that spirit, we felt that okay, now Bengaluru can become better from a mobility point of view. Of course, the problems are well known. I think you can move the slides. Yeah, the problem is known. I think all of us talk about maybe crib about the traffic and the time it takes to reach office or any other place. It's not just the time, the economic impact, the social impact, and the health hazard that it's creating. But let's take a
You can do all of this in one app in Namma Yatri and plan a multimodal trip or unified transport where you can do a walk, metro walk, or auto or a cab, metro, and then another auto or cab, or walk, whatever works. So not just that. See, right now, if you have to do that, you might have to use 3-4 apps, and you have to struggle between multiple apps to get all information. Not just doing the planning, booking, and tracking. In a way, we have metro in your hands, right from the display which says when will the metro arrive to when should you get down, what is the exit gate, what is the platform. All of that information is available in Namma Yatri right now. You can quickly have a look at some of these screens. In a way, some of us have been doing this catch the metro game almost. Like we see that it takes 10 minutes to go reach catch the metro, and dot on time when the app says 10 minutes. And
made this happen on the dais, and those all of you who have contributed to making this happen, and my friends from the media and dear friends. This is such a positive and such a hopeful moment. ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ the transit time flying from Delhi to Bangalore is lesser than getting from airport to your office. I came inside the office and I told Shan that you don't need an advertisement for Bangalore's problem. You don't need an advertisement for Namma Yatri. The lived reality of the challenge is more than enough. On the way, we were discussing in the car because whichever vehicle, wherever you are traveling in the city, the constant subject that you will discuss is the frustration that you take out on the traffic. We were no different. We were doing that. So we were frustrated and we were like, gosh, there is no hope. This was actually the sentiment. But as we came inside, as we met all of you, as we saw what you have done, I can tell you there is so much hope. There is so much hope that things will get better. And over the last 5-6 years, I have been a first-hand witness to what Bengaluru has contributed to the country's development, and I have seen this firsthand. Whether it was the Aadhaar revolution, whether it was the UPI revolution, whether it was the JAM Trinity integration, whether it was the ONDC, or even while drafting of the digital data protection bill, of which I was a member of the select committee, multiple contributions, interventions, representations that actually went into these legislations actually came from people of Bengaluru. The people that you mentioned, many of them contributed to making all of this possible. And we even thought during that time that we should perhaps come up with something called as the Bengaluru Manifesto, because when there is no hope for a lot of other problems, the genius of Bengaluru, the people of Bengaluru actually stand up to the occasion and actually come up with solutions. And today, it is not just Bengaluru, all of urban India is actually grappling with the same problem. The problem perhaps is most acute here, but I can tell you with a lot of confidence, with a lot of honesty, that if there is one city that can actually give a national blueprint for solving this problem, it will be our city, Namma Bengaluru. It has, it has three great ingredients that makes us very unique. One, the city is a magnet for talent from all over the country and the world. The strength of Bengaluru is its talented people. This is our strength. I mean, Bengaluru doesn't have great mineral resources. We don't have, we don't even have fresh water bodies like a river, or we don't even have access to a sea. We don't have, like rare earth minerals or anything. But what we have is an incredibly motivated, talented bunch of people. That's our strength. Second, we have people like Srinivas here. I have known him from so many years. Against hope, against systems and governments that haven't listened to them, against political leaders, against bureaucrats who will confuse you, confabulate you in red tapeism. There is a civic activism group in Bengaluru that does not bloody give up. They are still ready to take up a new fight. That is again very unique to this city, and I've seen it only in this city. And because, when I was in high school, there have been so many protests, marches, activism groups that I have been a part of, where Srinivas was a part of. Sometimes just yesterday somebody in Delhi was telling me, even now you come across more as an activist than anything else. That's because I have started my journey there. And the third I want to tell you that something that is very unique about this city is the kind of support that initiatives like this get from the press. The understanding of public transport, understanding of urban planning, the need for modern solutions that the journalists of Bengaluru have, and the kind of support they have given for public transport initiatives, whether it is metro, whether it is suburban, whether it is better roads, whether it is better urban planning. With all due respect to journalists from other parts of the country, I am extremely proud to say the journalists of my city have shown an excellent commitment to their job, and have done a yeoman service in educating this. It's in so many times, I will tell you, many instances they have called us and said, why don't you take a review meeting on this? This is important. On so many instances when, we would have gotten a little frustrated that something is not working out, there have been instances where we have actually called them and sought their help. But because all of us on the same page, all of us are victims of the same problem, we all also are committed to finding a credible solution. So I think for these three reasons, Bengaluru is going to lead the revolution in India for better urban spaces, a more planned urbanism, and great efficient urban transport. What you have done today, we may perhaps not realize the quantum of the impact that this is going to have in the coming years, but this is phenomenal. Why is public transport adoption low? Let us take away the inadequate supply of physical infrastructure as a puzzle of the problem away for a minute. But even assuming it is available, we need public transport to be a reliable. We must know that, okay, if I take this means, I will be reaching this place exactly at this point of time. Two, it must be comfortable and easy. If you take a particular mode of transport here and then you are left languishing without another alternative at the other end, it is going to make you discouraged to take it. Third, the point that you mentioned, Sujit, it was so nice. Let us not call it multimodal, let us call it unified. Because that is when the comfort and ease of traveling in public transport will actually come. What you have done through this innovation, supported by ONDC, supported by organizations like yours, is to actually make public transport reliable and accessible and unified. And this is something phenomenal. Something phenomenal. While digital infrastructure can actually augment, catalyze, support, and make the existing physical infrastructure little more efficient, it will not take away the need for augmenting and building more physical infrastructure. Governments all over the world have realized that the only solution for urban traffic congestion is more adoption of public transport. Unfortunately, the exception to this understanding seems to be the government here in Bangalore. There seems to be a war against public transport here. Some young entrepreneurs like you came up with an idea. They thought we will provide for last mile, first mile connectivity using bikes. What did the government do? They banned it. From the last 5 years, at least 5 to 6 different startups have reached out to me and reached out to various other people in the government asking for permissions to run buses, carriage services, stage carriage services, to supplement and support the BMTC's bus fleet. In the last 15 years, the BMTC's bus fleet has remained near stagnant at around 6,000 buses. But the government is not allowing for it. You don't have to invest your money. The private guy is ready to invest his money. The private guy is ready to buy the buses. He is ready to employ the bus drivers. He is ready to do all the hard work to supplement an already existing government organization. But you're not ready to let it happen. When you showed me the picture of the new auto that you want to do, Shan, when you showed me the picture of the new auto rickshaw that you were planning, the shared auto rickshaw, I told you that it's a brilliant solution, a futuristic design. But my worry is, shared auto rickshaws is banned in Bangalore. It makes economic sense to allow shared auto rickshaws in Bengaluru. It makes more economic sense for the auto rickshaw driver. It makes more economic sense for the commuter. We have seen this in so many other cities in the country, but we have banned this. Why is it? And even carpooling. I mean, the city is struggling on congestion, traffic jams. Carpooling was banned. I mean, it needs a different level of insensitivity or stupidity to actually pursue this kind of policies. But with so much of hopelessness around in places where there were actually leadership on these things, efforts like what you are doing, efforts like what is happening at the IISc, support from institutions like ONDC, support from people like Nandan Nilekani and people like you, Nitin, Sujit, coming forward and making this happen. This is what actually gives hope that the city will actually come back on the right track and actually inspire the government to actually follow the right policies. So all the very best. I have just one word before I want to thank all of you. As a country, we have taken to urbanization very slowly. But the next 10 years is extremely important because India is urbanizing at a very fast pace. After 10 years, there will be more number of Indians living in urban areas than there will be in villages and rural areas. The upcoming delimitation that will happen after the census will also reflect this change in the demography of the country. We will have more urban seats, we will have more urban MPs, MLAs, and naturally, the political capital and investment that will follow to urban areas will naturally be even more in the coming years. It's a very natural progression that the country is going through. It is in this very important juncture when India is urbanizing, 1/5 of the world's population is urbanizing, that Namma Yatri has thought of this very important solution. And just imagine the potential of the problem that you will be solving in the coming decade. All the very best to you and all the very best to the whole team for making this happen. Thank you for giving hope. All the very best.
We start? Hi, I'm Sujit Naya. I'm the CEO of and co-founder of FIDE, a foundation. I'm also the co-creator of the Beckon Protocol. Today it's a very momentous occasion for us for the launch of what is the Namma Transit, a unique vision to the world where you're bringing your metros and buses closer to you, closer to home through their app. Where today, for you to see that whether you need to take a metro or you want to take an auto rickshaw or you want to take a taxi all the way, bringing them all at one place and booking all of them together in using one ticket to go from, let's say, from Pina all the way to Kormangla or from Indiranagar to Kengeri. You can do that using a single app and a single ticket, because this idea of unified multimodal mobility is coming to your phones, into your phones, the Namma Yatri app, and use that to do all of this at one place. You don't have to download multiple apps anymore. With one app, you can easily do that. And this makes public transport much closer to your home, into your pocket, and make most of it. And this is happening because of the great work Namma Yatri is doing, on top of the work nationally that's been undertaken called the Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC. Together, it is making multimodal real. And I would also like to congratulate Namma Metro and other public transit organizations across the world to join this initiative. What is starting in Bangalore is now making it a story for the whole of India. Look forward to all of you availing the services in a big way. Thank you so much.
What is the business model for how you want to sustain? Is there any subscription?
So, in this effort of ONDC based public transport and multimodal mobility that we are talking about, as a consumer, you just have to download the app. The app is free. You just have to pay for the ticket and the Namma Yatri services. Now, each of the operators, whether it's Namma Yatri, the auto rickshaw drivers, or the Namma Yatri, the Namma Metro, the metro operators and the bus operators soon who will join us, especially the airport line and all that, each of them will operate on their own way, collecting their own revenue and for the tickets. But today, then each of them work on itself. The network itself is operated in a public infrastructure that everybody can avail, and making it self-sustainable for all. It is not one platform we are talking about, which therefore there's no one platform, one business model. It's a network of many platforms, including your own Namma Metro, all of them coming together to make this sustainable in some sense. So it is self-sustainable as an infrastructure, such that you don't have to create a separate app with a separate business model to make it happen. And that's what makes this a truly unique and globally first pioneering model of how you integrate multimodal transport in a city. Thank you.